One of the things I like to do before the night of serving our flat iron steak is make up my own homemade horseradish sauce. Really an easy condiment to prepare yourself. You just might not be familiar with the horseradish. It's easy to get at the grocery stores these days, but there isn't anything quite like fresh. Now, if you've never seen a horseradish root, there it is. It is a long stalk and doesn't look anything like what you would think of. A lot of people pass it by at the grocery store, and recently I had to show a lot of people it, so they said, oh, I wouldn't have known what that was. So just like any other root vegetable, it's got a coarser skin on the outside, and we'll have to remove that. So what works really well is just take your potato peeler and have something like this ready, and just take off and get down to that tender fleshy part. And you can see now it's starting to look a little bit more like the horseradish you're used to seeing in the jars. So anyway, just keep that away because this is a very sharp grater. Get all of that tough outer peel away from your horseradish. Make sure you've got a really clean piece. All right, now we're going to take this, and there's different ways you can make the horseradish sauce. You could put it in a food processor, which would do an okay job. But I happen to like horseradish very much. So what I prefer to do, let me get that going a little better. Okay, there you go. There's a really nice clean piece. See any little pieces you don't like, just go back, touch it up a little bit. What I prefer to do with this is use my microplane, and what you get is a very finely minced or finely shredded, whatever you want to call that little grating that comes off of here, piece of horseradish that when it's processed with the other ingredients really has a nice texture to it as opposed to being totally smooth, which I happen to prefer. Now what I'm going to do is take that, put it over a bowl that's very wide so it can take the plane. And you have to be careful if you haven't used one of these. I'm even going to put my glasses on because it really is a very sharp instrument. Now you can take it just like this and just get it going. And you can see that starts to grate down into your bowl. We're going to go ahead and get all of this done. Now, because we're doing this on the show today, and we know how much we enjoy it, and we have family and friends who like it as well, I will make up this whole stick of horseradish, or a whole piece of horseradish, for everybody so they'll each get their own jar. We have enough of the horseradish root to get started on the recipe. This is only about half of the piece that we had, and that will roughly serve about 10 to 12 people. So that means we're going to have plenty to store in the refrigerator for like a steak sandwich with a little horseradish on it. Now to get onto the recipe, we're going to mince some fresh garlic, and I already have started here, and that was the piece I rubbed earlier, the second half of it. So all I'm going to do is just get this cracked a little bit, put a little bit of my kosher salt in it. And the reason I like to do that, we've talked about it before, is because not only do you get some really good garlic flavor, but you get a little of the juice out by doing this. And all I do is just take that down like there, put it on my board with my salt, and smoosh it a little bit. You know, just keep smooshing it. And I can't think of a better word. If there's a technical word and you know it, you can tell me. But the results are that you get a lot more moisture, and you can see that there's moisture coming out of that. And what happens is it really spreads really nicely through that horseradish. And I really think fresh is the way to go. Now, if you don't agree with that, you could certainly put a little garlic powder in it, but this is one of those times it's fun to practice these techniques. You just get better and better at it. Everybody now who comes to enjoy dinner with us helps in the kitchen. Everybody's got their techniques down, and it makes it fun. And this was something that over the last holidays everybody helped on. So anyway, there's our fresh garlic. You can make it finer if you like than that, but we're going to go ahead and put that in our horseradish. There we go. So we have about a half of a horseradish root here, a moderate piece of garlic, a small piece of garlic that can go into it because it's going to be pretty garlicky. Now I'm going to transfer all of that into a larger mixing bowl, and we're going to add some of the ingredients that make this homemade horseradish sauce so special. Now some of the parts you may not be able, that will make your eyes tear up just like an onion. It's remarkable when it's fresh how it does that, so be forewarned on that. Now what made mine so spectacular that everybody loves so much, I think, was this English salad cream by Heinz that I picked up. It's a lot different than our salad dressing by the distinction that it's a little bit looser than ours as opposed to a mayonnaise, a salad dressing. And also it has a more yolky flavor to it, and it has a little bit of sugar in it, which really brought out the flavors of the horseradish. And we're going to put that with some other ingredients that I think just make it really fine. So we're going to start, and because I really don't measure this, I just do by taste, I'm going to start with something. So, I got to keep that out of my way. We're going to start with a tablespoon of the salad dressing, which is the English salad cream. It's the technical name of that. You could use just American style, but there you go. Whew. You need to do this with goggles. Should have thought about that. Okay, so we'll start with a tablespoon of the English cream. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of Duke's mayonnaise, which is a southern mayonnaise, which I adore because it doesn't have the sugar in it. And we'll start with about 2 tablespoons of that. And we're going to whisk that together. We're going to put a little salt in it right away. Let me put this away. All right. We're going to whisk this together, and chances are we're going to have to thin it out a little bit. Yes, you can see right there. Let me get this out of your way. Whew, boy, is that strong. Well, as you can see, it's best to have goggles on hand. I happen to have my princess goggles, so I'm ready to go. Now, I'm telling you, if you've never experienced fresh horseradish, it is just amazing how it will make you tear up. So be prepared for that. Have your goggles or your glasses handy. But we haven't added enough insult to injury. We're going to put in some wasabi horseradish as well, which is a green horseradish, and it really does add even more zest, more flavor. It's amazing. So we're going to put that in as well. And the only thing I have to do is just give it a little bit of a smoother consistency, because it's nice if it's a little bit looser so that your guests can just dip their piece of steak in it. So let's whisk that together. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of low-fat or no-fat sour cream. And you can see, let me get all this out of the way here. You can see right away that you have a horseradish that looks very similar to the one you would see at the grocery store. It has a faint green tint to it, which I like because I love wasabi. Wasabi is one of my favorite foods on the earth. And I want to do one other thing really quickly. Move this out of the way. Let me put that right there. And we're going to have to taste this a little bit because we now need to season it. The things that I use to season with are fresh lemon, which I'm just going to squeeze a little bit in. If you don't have fresh lemon on hand, the little containers of lemon do very well too. And we're only going to start with a very small squeeze, just to balance that a little bit. Whisk it. Make sure everything is well incorporated. Let it sit in the refrigerator for a day. It really enhances the flavor. Let's taste it. It's yummy. Boy, is that good. Okay, well that's it. We're going to put that in the refrigerator. We'll be right back on Home at Last.